What's crack-a-lackin'? Welcome in to My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Show.
Welcome into episode 42, everybody. Today's episode is going to be my quarterback stardom sit-ems heading into week 2. Before we dive into it, guys, make sure you smash that like, turn that bell on, turn that notification on so you know when I'm live. I will be live tomorrow, 2 hours before the game, going over start sits, helping everybody. For this episode, I will be showing my week 1 start sit predictions that I post on Twitter. I take top 5 players outside the top 10, then I put them as starters, and then I take one bold call of the week and that's in the top 10 for a sit based on my projections. And I'm going to show you that on screen when we start off here so you can see how it went. And let's dive into the QB rankings, guys, or QB stardom sit-ems. So, guys, here is my board for the week 2 stardom sit-ems. We're going to get to the Thursday night game here in a second. We have the Bills at the Dolphins. But like I said, I want to show you my week 1 tweet to show you my progress because I'm a firm believer in showing transparency of your work as a content creator. I have a giant pet peeve with people that just post their hits and don't post their miss. So this is my week 1 stardom sit-em recap here that I tweeted. And this was tweeted before the week started, of course. You know, don't go crazy. So what I do here is I go outside the top 10 overall for stardom. So week 1, I went outside my own top 10 rankings because we didn't have any, points per game rankings yet. Next week, I will use week 2 points per game rankings here. So I went with the Trevor Lawrence in the Dolphins game. I thought it'd be a shootout. He went under. I missed there. I had Tua as a must start. He went over. I hit there. Matthew Stafford was so close to hitting, but he's under, and you got to take the X when it's under, man. Baker Mayfield was 100% my smash start quarterback. Derek Carr was also a smash start quarterback of mine. Now, when I go to the sit-ems, I take one bold player with a star. So like right there on the screen, you see the star that's ranked in the top 10, and I say sit-em based on my projections and knowledge of defenses and stuff like that. Dak Prescott was a must-sit for me. Deshaun Watson was a must-sit. Justin Herbert was a must-sit. Will Levis and Aaron Rodgers, all 5 for 5. I hit 80% of my calls in week 1. Now, that's not ideal every single week. Last year I averaged about 65 to 70%, but what an amazing start to week 1. Now, heading into the Dolphins game here, this is going to be just an absolute shootout game here. So Josh Allen, I have him down below. Hang on. Josh Allen is going to be a must start. He was my quarterback 1 last week. He was QB 1. Tua Tagovailoa is going to be a must start against the Bills defense. This is going to be, look what Kyler Murray and the Dolphins did. Although Kyler didn't have a great game, I think it was week 1. It was, Marvin Harrison didn't even get involved. I expect this to be a very, very high scoring game on a short week. The things we have to worry about here, though, is Mostert is out, and we don't know if A-Chain is going to be out there yet. He's a game time decision. So those will even affect Tua more. Like if they're both out, I'm even putting Tua higher. I know you'll see Jeff Wilson and Jalen Wright, maybe a little bit the rookie that I want to see come out there, but this will be a full-blown pass attack all the way, and both these quarterbacks are absolute smash starts this week. Heading over to the Cowboys game, the Saints are headed to Jerry's World. Now we're going to have Derek Carr here, and man, Derek Carr lit it up and didn't even play the second half. He still was QB 6 on the week, which is bonkers. I know he gets a tougher defense here in the Cowboys and Mike Zimmer. It looks great. And they locked up Deshaun Watson, which I did not see. So I was definitely wrong on the Cowboys game there. I had the Browns winning that game. The Browns just looked absolutely terrible. Now for Dak Prescott this week, I had him on a sit-em last week. It was absolute gold. This is where you want to start him this week. This game is not going to get out of hand like the Cleveland Browns game did and become a non-passing factor here. Now, when I'm looking at this game also, we don't know if Marshawn Lattimore is even going to be out there for the Saints. So if you have CeeDee Lamb right here, CeeDee Lamb's ramp up week is now. This is why I said temper expectations with CeeDee Lamb, and he'll be under projections. That was one of my hits for wide receivers, but I'll get to that on my wide receiver stardom sit-em. And both these players right here, I see this as a high-scoring game. The Saints really impressed me. I know it was the Panthers that they played against, but I think both these quarterbacks are going over projection, and they're must-start QBs this week. The Raiders are headed to Baltimore, man. This game is going to be rough for the Raiders after what I saw week 1 versus the Chargers. But there's a little upside here to if you're playing a super flex, double QB league here. So Gardner Minshew, I'm going to put in yellow. I know he had a very tough outing week 1 versus the Chargers. The Chargers defense got after him. But I'm putting him in yellow here because this could be a garbage time Devontae Adams feast game here. And if you look at what Rashee Rice did, I know it's Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball, and it's a lot different quarterback than Gardner Minshew. But I feel like he'll be a serviceable super flex play. They could drop 15 to 18 points this week because if the Ravens get up, yeah, they're probably going to pound Henry, which also scares me with Lamar. I know Lamar's passing game, I've never been a fan of his QB mechanics in any way. He's always been a running phenom, and he looks skinny, and he looks like he's flying around faster than I've ever seen. But I am kind of worried, like, what if the Ravens get up and they just pound Henry all the way in this game? So, but Lamar is always still a must-start quarterback. That's the only little, like, fringe worry I have. But I am going to keep Gardner Minshew in yellow because I think you'll get some garbage time points here at the end of the game, and the Ravens' pass D is kind of beatable. They're strong up front. On to Arrowhead we go. And man, if Joe Burrow and the Bengals don't wake up here, like, I'm not going to be in full panic mode if they go 0-2 and lose to the Chiefs, right? Because T. Higgins hasn't been out there, and T. Higgins looks like he's going to be out again. But when I look at Joe Burrow, and I had him as a start last week, this is a definite miss. I did not see the Patriots beating the Bengals. I mean, I think like 500,000 people went out of their survivor pools in week 1, picking the Bengals as a smash win. So it wasn't just me that missed it. It was tons of people that missed this. Now, when you look at the Bengals defense, their defense is bottom tier. They just let Ramondre Stevenson dominate a game with game script. Now, in this game, the Chiefs are probably going to score points, and Joe Burrow, for some reason, owns the Kansas City Chiefs. I feel like this is his bounce-back game here. I feel like Jamar Chase didn't have his groove going in week 1. I feel like he's going to get more involved. And on the Chiefs side, Patrick Mahomes, this is an absolute smash start. This defense is very bad, but it's kind of like a Lamar Jackson thing for me here. If the Chiefs get ahead early and the Chiefs build a lead, they might just pound Pacheco out. Could be that kind of game here if the Bengals look as bad as they did week 1. So it could be a little scary for Mahomes, but you're still going to start Patrick Mahomes either way. The Colts are headed to Lambeau, and this one hurt on Friday Night Football, man. Jordan Love out 3 to 4 weeks here. We don't know how the rehab's going to go, how fast he's going to come back. Now you got Malik Willis starting. I'm going to start with the Packers here first in this game because I just feel so bad for him. Malik Willis, I'm not starting. I don't even feel comfortable starting him in a super flex league unless you're desperate at QB. That's the only way I would ever put him out there. It's really going to hurt all the wide receivers, and this was such a good matchup for Green Bay. I mean, the Colts defense just got shredded by the Texans, and their defense is going to get shredded all year. Now they're going to be able to stack the box against Josh Jacobs. I still have Jacobs as a smash play, but I just don't know how the volume is going to go in this game, and I'm very, very worried about the Packers without Jordan Love. The Colts side, Anthony, my QB1 on the year, Richardson is here, guys. The throw off his back foot, leaning back 65 freaking yards in the air. This is why you draft this man. If he stays healthy, he is going to absolutely be close to quarterback 1 this season. He's just got to stop. He was even taking dumb hits again. Like I said last year, he's got to stop taking dumb hits. He still thinks he's a monster and does the same thing. But damn, this guy looks bigger than the lineman when he takes the snap, man. Now, Michael Pittman is going to feast in this game. He had a slow start last week. It was a weird game versus the Texans defense is very good, and he still dropped almost 30 points. Now you're getting Green Bay with no Jordan Love. This is my QB1 on the week. To Mile High Stadium we go. We got the Steelers and this nasty steel curtain defense headed into the Broncos. And finally, we get Justin Fields again for week 2. I'm hoping he holds on to this job. Russell Wilson still has a calf injury. And I think if Justin Fields wins this game right here and they're 2-0, how are they going to put Russell Wilson back on the field? This was an absolute great pickup late in your drafts. Justin Fields is going to start clicking. This still is a bad matchup for George Pickens and Pat Surtain because look at what Patrick Surtain just did to DK Metcalf. He just destroyed him. I expect this to be a huge Fields running day and possibly a Pat Freiermuth day here, but we'll get to that in my tight end video when I get there. Now, headed to the Broncos side. Run for cover, Bo Nix. This is going to be awful. You don't want, I've been saying all year, you don't want to start any Broncos ever. I don't know why people started Javonte Williams last week. They're out of their minds in fantasy football. You just got to look at the hit. They're going to play every game from behind, and the passing volume should be there, but this is not the game for Bo Nix. This is a game where I'm worried that Bo Nix makes it out healthy, man. I'm not wishing any injuries, but this freaking Steelers defense is for real, man. They are startable weekly. TJ Watt looks like the defensive player of the year already. He's on a mission, and I am running for my life if I am Bo Nix in this game. Monday Night Football matchup. The Atlanta Falcons are headed to Philadelphia, and I've got some concerns here, guys. What I saw from Kirk Cousins in week 1, Yes. Did I just talk about the steel curtain and how good the Steelers defense is? Yes. So it was a struggle game. But if you've seen any of the videos, anything with Kirk Cousins coming off his Achilles, man, he would drop into the pocket and his footwork, he couldn't even move it. Which is why I don't have Drake London that high this week. I need to prove it to see it. It seems like a smash matchup here. That's why I have him in yellow. Eagles secondary is very, very young. They're toastable. Jaden Reed was just wide receiver 1 overall in the week versus Philly secondary. And it looks like a smash play, but right now with Kirk Cousins, I mean, we may see Michael Penix. Maybe that draft pick wasn't as bad as we thought because Kirk Cousins did not look good. He did not even look anything mobile, and this Philly front is going to get after him, and he's not going to be able to run, man. It's going to be really, really either I'm way off on this or he's going to pop off and bounce back, and I'm going to feel happy like it should be. For the Eagles side, Jalen Hurts, this is a must-start game. The Falcons' defense is better than we thought. They just held Pittsburgh to 6 field goals last week. They didn't find the end zone. So the additions of Judon and Simmons in the secondary are really, really helping the Falcons' defense. But man, your defense can't be out there all the time if your offense can't move the ball here. And it just could be really ugly here. Jalen Hurts, though, always a must-start. Kellen Moore offense, they look great. Devonta Smith out of the slot looked amazing. A.J. Brown looked matchup-proof. Dallas Goedert got a little work. And my guy Saquon Barkley is him. Headed into the hot desert, Arizona, the Los Angeles Rams and Sean McVay are headed into Arizona to meet Kyler Murray and the Marvin Harrison show that was not there in week 1. So Matthew Stafford and Kyler Murray, this is a shootout potential game for me. I think it possibly could be one of the highest scoring of the week. There's just a couple concerns that I have in this game. So on the Rams side, Coach Sean McVay is just a genius, man. If you watch the Detroit Lions game, that should have been a blowout. The Rams offensive line is shuffling players, 3 starting injuries, and they still hang with a Super Bowl contending Lions team. The Rams defense is supposed to be terrible, but yet they lock up Amon-Ra St. Brown. They keep Laporta in check a little bit, and the running backs don't do anything till overtime. So Sean McVay and this system that the Rams have can just somehow be better than you think. But I fully expect Kyler Murray at home to get on track here. Trey McBride had 9 targets. He didn't really pop off. Marvin Harrison Jr. did nothing. And this Rams defense is toastable. Their starting corner went on IR at the beginning of the year. They're running all backups pretty much. It is going to be rough sledding out there. And Greg Dortch, man, I made a crazy call before the season that Greg Dortch would be the leading target wide receiver core player for the Cardinals. And he saw 8 targets, man. Also gets the double dip in the punt return. I think Greg Dortch is a sneaky start here, but I'll get to that in my wide receiver video. But I expect both these quarterbacks to bounce back into the top 10 this week. I mean, Matt Stafford was quarterback 12. Kyler Murray was quarterback 15. I expect them both to be in the top 10 this week. This is a smash start, especially if you're looking at, say, having Matt Stafford versus a quarterback with a bad matchup. I prefer Matt Stafford in this game. The New York Jets got to get back on track. They're headed to the Tennessee Titans here. And the Titans need to be at home, man, because that was a rough showing for the Titans offense versus the Bears, but the Bears defense is one of the top defense in the league. I mean, Will Levis only passed for 127 yards. It was rough. Now, A-Rod side of things. I am sitting A-Rod in this game. I said to sit Caleb Williams last week versus the Titans secondary. They are sneaky good, and they have Ladarius Sneed, who can lock up anyone. He's going to give Garrett Wilson a fluster game here. I'll dive more into that in my wide receiver start Sit-Ems. But Aaron Rodgers this week, I think it's going to be more of a Breece Hall game here. And if you saw Breece Hall's usage, it's freaking nuts. They just weren't on the field. So if you saw the 49ers game Monday night, the Niners doubled their time of possession. They doubled the plays they ran. So you never even really got to see the Jets. Their defense was out there the whole time, just struggling to keep up with Shanahan's system. Now, on the Will Levis side, why I have Will Levis in yellow as not a start-em or a sit-em is because it's like a Gardner Minshew thing here. I think the Jets will get ahead enough to where garbage time, Will Levis may hit his projection, may be a startable super flex QB. I expect DeAndre Hopkins to get more involved here, even though, you have Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed. They're going to be on Calvin Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins. Could be tough there. Could be more of a chick game. Or maybe Tyler Boyd out of the slot. But I still think he'll be not a full sittable. I think you're going to see a better Will Levis here in this game. That was an aberration. The Bears D is lights out. A defensive battle here with weapons all over the place. Superstar talent everywhere here. The Chicago Bears are headed to the Houston Texans. Now, I said this bench Caleb Williams last week. I'm going to flip that over this week. Now we're going to put Caleb Williams on a start. And here's why. As I get the hiccups going in this video. So, in this game, they're going to be tough up front. DeAndre Swift, if you don't sit this guy, you're crazy. I'll get to that in my DeAndre Swift video. I also said do not draft DeAndre Swift. He's a fake RB1. We'll get to that later. CJ Stroud must start, even against a top-notch defense here. You're starting this guy every week with all the weapons he has around him. He's that good. Not much to talk about. I don't care about the matchup either. Like, I love the Bears defense as a top 4 to 5, 3 defense on the year. But it's CJ Stroud, and there's too many weapons. It's always a must-start with him. But on the Caleb side, why I like him more in this game is because how good the Texans are up front. They are beatable in the secondary, man. Look what Alex Pierce did to them, dude. He was the second most leading receiver on the year, or on the week 1. Yes, Anthony Richardson hit him with bombs. Caleb Williams looked very inaccurate. I hope that changes here in week 2. But he has a decent enough offensive line, and they should be playing from behind here. And we don't know Rome Odunze's status yet. But either way, this should be a Keenan Allen, DJ Moore feast game here if they fall behind, and you're going to see a lot more passing volume here. So I'm almost confident this week that Caleb will go over his projection. And if he doesn't, and he has 2 flops in a row, I'm going to be the one here to say, I told you so from the beginning of the season, because I was not high on Caleb Williams, guys. The Seattle Seahawks and the Ryan Grubb offense that was supposed to be absolutely explosive in week 1 was kind of not what I thought. But Geno Smith did beat his projection. But the scary part was Geno Smith did not look good. And I was calling for Sam Howell to get this job in the offseason, but I know they're not going to do that. You're going to ride Geno. He got the win. I hope it gets better for him here. I know that DK Metcalf drew Pat Surtain. That was a very rough matchup. I talked about that earlier. But now you're going to get Christian Gonzalez as well. And Christian Gonzalez just hammered Jamar Chase. I know Jamar Chase was off his week 1, quote-unquote, hold out, hold in, whatever you want to say it was, and he was out there. But this guy is a lockdown shadow corner as well. And when I head to the Patriots side, man, you're not starting Jacoby Brissett. And what happened was just insane to me that I wanted to see him lose. It sounds terrible to say. I want Drake May out there, man. The more Jacoby Brissett wins, the worse their draft pick gets, and you don't get to see Drake May. And that's just painful to me. The Seattle defense, Mike McDonald's new ran defense, looks like they're flying around. They run a bunch of psycho packages. They run crazy stuff. I like to see it a lot. Very, very vastly improved. If you watched any of my videos before, I called this. I said the Seattle defense is going to be a lot better this season. Coming from Baltimore, he is an absolute genius. But I am going to keep Geno on a start here. I mean, if you watched anything, the Bengals tried to run the ball. The Patriots' run D was very good. They can't get beat in the secondary. There's a lot more weapons here in Seattle than there was in Cincy. There was no T. Higgins last week. So, I mean, you're going up against JC's and Lockett and Metcalf. This should be a smash game for Geno here, and I like him as a start this week, especially Superflex. QB1 league, he's on the fringe. If you have an injury, say you lost Jordan Love, I'm fine with throwing Geno Smith in there. Duval County we go, and the awful-looking Cleveland Browns. It could have been the Cowboys defense, but this is one of those games where I am sitting both of these quarterbacks, and let's talk about why here. So, the Cleveland Browns got absolutely destroyed by the Cowboys. The Cowboys defense put up 17 points against them to go along with it. And Deshaun Watson, I mean, I don't know how long we're going to have to ride this. Is he ever going to bounce back narrative? Because it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen to me. I'm hoping it does. I'm hoping that's a week 1 blunder. I have a couple, shares of Deshaun Watson throughout my leagues. But, man, I'm starting to get really, really scared that we're going to see Jameis Winston here soon enough in this Browns offense. Now, on to the Jacksonville side. And wait, let's back up here a second. If I'm looking at the Jacksonville defense, by the way, and why I'm sitting Deshaun Watson as well, I mean, look at the Dolphins, man. They kind of locked him up till they got late, and Tyreek Hill busted a big one. Jalen Waddle ate a lot across the middle, but there was no explosive play for the Miami Dolphins offense that we all love to see. You didn't see A-Chain get loose. You didn't see Mostert get loose. He got hurt a little bit, got banged up. He's out this week. You saw Jeff Wilson get a couple carries here and there, but there was nothing explosive. Their defense was supposed to be ranked very bad. It's like a Sean McVay thing to me here. They turned it around a lot more than I thought, and now that they're at home, I think Cleveland Browns are going to struggle. On to the T-Law side, this is why I benched Dak Prescott. You're playing the Cleveland Browns defense. This defense is lights out. It was my number 1 ranked defense coming in. This is going to be a nightmare game. Trevor Lawrence will be running all over the place for his life. Myles Garrett is a monster. Denzel Ward will be, I don't know if he's going to shadow BTJ or Kirk. We'll see what happens in the game. Because he kind of locked up CD, but it was too much, too late in the game for anything to be looked at because they got blown out of the water by the Cowboys. But I'm sitting both these quarterbacks this week. Headed on down to Carolina. The Chargers are coming into the Panthers' house. And guys, hang on. We're going 100% red on Bryce Young. My bad. Justin Herbert. Why I don't have Justin Herbert as a start this week at Carolina is simple. And you're going to be like, why not? It looks like a smash matchup. Yeah, it does. But let's look at what the Saints just did. What does Harbaugh like to do? Run the ball. What did the Saints running backs just do? Alvin Kamara and Jamal Williams both went for 20-plus points. Yes. Did Derek Carr hit bombs early in the game? Yes. That's what you're going to have to worry about every single time you play the Panthers is my starter going to be playing in the second half? Unless they show me something, this week, which I don't think they're going to. The Chargers defense is nasty. They should have been one of your waiver wire pickups. But, when I look at Bryce Young, I was completely wrong here. I thought Dave Canales would come in. He drafted all his offensive pieces. They would look better, and they just got absolutely throttled. It was 40-0 at half, or like 37-3 at half. It was over. They didn't even play their starters the second half, and the Panthers still couldn't move the ball in garbage time versus the second string and third stringers. So there's really nothing at all that looks good in Carolina right now. Bryce Young he should be on your waiver wires in standard, PPR 12-man leagues. Superflex, he's even a dangerous start. I don't like him at all. But back to the Justin Herbert side as well. I think this will be a J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards game, and they'll get ahead, and Harbaugh loves to run the rock, and I don't think Herbert has a ball-out game unless he hits, 2 touchdowns in the first, 2 quarters. The 49ers and the Jordan Mason-led rushing attack. You got to go back and look at my videos, man. I called this guy a long time ago. Is now headed into Minnesota. Brock Purdy is going to be on my sit-em. Why is Brock Purdy going to be on a sit-em? Oh, my God, it's the 49ers offense. Here's what's going to happen. I had Brock Purdy as a yellow play last week versus the Jets. What's going to happen in this game here again is, the Vikings got to win. They played the Giants, bro. Everyone's going to beat the Giants. We saw how terrible they look. Now, for Brock Purdy's situation, how fast do the 49ers get up in this game is going to be the key point here. If Brock Purdy doesn't throw a touchdown in the first 2 quarters, you're probably looking at a 12-point game here. This is going to be a Jordan Mason ground and pound all the way through with probably another, Purdy had 10 points versus the Jets. What did you see? You saw them get the lead, and you saw Jordan Mason dominate the game. That's exactly what I feel like the game script is going to be like here, which is why I have Sam Darnold in yellow, because if they fall behind, they're going to have to throw. This could be garbage time points. You can see Justin Jefferson eating garbage time here. I know Jordan Addison's not out there. TJ Hawkinson's not out there. The only guy I like starting for Minnesota this week is Jedez. I'll get to that in my wide receiver start sit-em video. But I think Sam Darnold is a okay super flex start. Definitely not a 1 QB league. But he could throw for a lot of volume here. This could be this game could be over pretty quick here, heading to like the third quarter. You could get a lot of garbage time points for Sam Darnold here. I don't have him as a sit or a start. He's right on that fringe for me. The puke defense game is here. The Commanders and the Giants. The Giants are headed into Washington here. What did I tell you about Danny Dimes, man? He's going to hurt Malik Neighbors all season long. I even called out that Wan'Dale Robinson will out-target Malik Neighbors, and you saw it 12-7. Now you get the Commanders defense, which gave up the most points last year in the secondary, most points to quarterbacks, and they just got destroyed by Baker Mayfield, and yet Danny Dimes is so bad that I can't put him in green. I am going to leave him yellow because this is probably the best matchup he's going to get all year. And if he doesn't do anything here, you may see Tommy DeVito by week 3, which I've been saying all year long. This guy's absolute trash. One of the worst contracts in NFL history. I hate to say it, but nothing gets better watching him play. The minute Malik Neighbors was drafted to the Giants, I was just closing my eyes like, oh my God. Heading to the Commanders side, Jaden Daniels was my smash start last week. Didn't look good through the air, guys. Terry McLaurin didn't get anything going. The most targeted player was Zach Ertz with 4 targets. It was rough to watch. Now you get the Giants. The Vikings just shredded this team. Should be a get-right, absolute murder game here for Jaden Daniels. But if I don't see the passing game pick up at all, I'm going to start thinking I'm looking at Lamar Jackson 2.0 here, which is always good for fantasy. But, man, he looked so good passing the ball in the preseason LSU, and all of a sudden you get to the pros, and he just couldn't figure it out. Could be game 1 jitters. I'm not in the panic mode yet. But, man, I need to see better from Jaden Daniels in the passing game, but he's going to absolutely destroy the New York Giants this week. I have him as QB6 as an elite start this week, by the way, as well. One of the best matchups that I can't wait to see of the week is going to be the Bucs headed into the Detroit Lions. Now, remember, guys, I said at the beginning of the video, this is why I saved this for last, is that I like to take a top 10 quarterback from last week and put him on a sit-em as a bold call. So Baker Mayfield was QB2 on the week last week. I had him as a smash start. The Commanders D, which I just talked about with Daniel Jones, is why I have Daniel Jones in yellow. Is they're going to get beat by everybody. Now you're headed into the Detroit Lions defense that is vastly improved. And if I look at, like I said before, the Sean McVay genius was there. I don't think Liam Cohen is going to have that same effect against the Detroit Lions. And I feel like it's going to be an ugly game here for Tampa all the way around. The only guy I'm really going to, feel comfortable starting is Evans and Godwin. I honestly don't feel comfortable with Rashad White or with Bucky Irving in any way. Now, heading to the Detroit Lions side, where did Tampa fall out at was stopping the run and the pass. So it was a Commanders' weird game. It was Jaden Daniels rushing. So, they didn't stop the run. They stopped the running backs. Jared Goff is not going to be running like Jaden Daniels. I think you're going to see Amon-Ra bounce back in this game. Everyone's panicking on Amon-Ra. Jamison Williams had his breakout game. I think he's still a sketch boomer bust start. We'll get to that when I get to the wide receiver video. But I like Jared Goff to explode in this game. I feel like he's going to tear this defense apart. I feel like this is going to be a maybe Tampa gets a couple points in like late in the game here when, I think the Lions have a firm enough lead. But, man, people are riding high on the Tampa win. I get that. But, man, now they're in for a bloodbath, man. This is going to be a different battle for them. And I just have Baker Mayfield as a sit-em this week. I think the front seven of the Detroit Lions is going to get after him. The Tampa Bay O-line is not great. The Commanders couldn't get after him because the Commanders' defense isn't great. So, man, Baker had all day to throw. It's going to be a different beast this week. And that is my bold call of the week, is to sit Baker Mayfield, who was the QB2 on the week last week. That was it for episode 42, guys. My QB stardom sit-ems, every matchup for week 2. Thank you for rocking with me, man. If you guys have not smashed that like, smash that subscription, turn that bell on for notifications. Any comments you guys have fantasy football, drop them in the comments. Make sure you do it. I'm here to help you win your fantasy football leagues. Now, my next videos, I'm going to try and get my running back, wide receiver, and tight end stardoms all out today. I don't know. It's going to be tough with the time crunch, but I'm going to try and get all my content out to you guys before Thursday so you can see it all. You can see all my rankings if you want to check my videos before. I have quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. They're all out there. Even kickers and defenses I went into to help you guys in your matchups this week. And that's it for me, man. SleezBall out. I'll catch you in the next one.